Hey guys, today I'll be showing you another project I've been working on, and this actually is a video from my buddy Mitch, who owns this nice little Mini-Korg here. But what I did this one, I didn't do really a full restoration on this one, I just really did more of a service. It had an issue with the triangular waveform. Basically when it was cold, it was real scratchy, real noisy. I thought it was actually an issue with the contacts in the switch, but I could see it all the way back at the board with the scope. And so I got probing around on the board, and I found where it was actually being introduced by a transistor. So it had a bad transistor. Once it warmed up, it was fine. It would actually clear up and be just fine. But when it was first turned on, it was just really noisy. So I took care of that, and had an issue with the percussion slider, which is also the decay slider. So you got attack, decay, but they call it percussion because Korg was a little quirky back then on their naming of stuff. So took care of that. It was actually a bent actuation wiper, and so took the slider apart, got the actuators all realigned, and luckily it was on the actual wiper side, not the carbon track side, so it didn't hurt your carbon track at all. So we got off lucky there. So the slider is actually just fine. So did that, clean all the switches, key contacts, and also put you in a new LED in place of the old bulb. The bulb actually quit working while I had it here. This is your light bulb here, and here's your transistor that was bad right here. So that was your problem. So replaced that, and did a recap on it as well. Got rid of all the old capacitors because that's just, those things do not age well at all. And also put you all new hardware in the chassis. So there's all new hardware. This thing was all mismatched. So I put on all new stainless steel screws in it. M4 thread pattern for you guys. If y'all don't know what it is, it's M4. New upper screws here. Actually black screws, so they match the chassis. So it all looks really nice and neat. And just gave it a good cleaning as well. Walk around this side, you can see your new screws in the side panels here. Walk on around here. Show you the back here. This is what I was talking about the model. You can see it's just called K1 on here. So, you know, I think they're called the 700 or 700S. But it's actually got Mini-Korg on it. These were also known as the Univox unit. I think Univox also made these things. Well, actually they made them for Korg, if I'm not mistaken. But something that's cool about these synths too is they got this little door on them, so you actually tuck your cord in, kind of like the Roland Space Echo, where you just put your cord in. Japanese synths, a lot of them are like this. It's just real cool. But anyways, I'll go over the controls so you can see exactly what this thing has. So this reminds me a lot of the Korg 770 as far as the filters, which actually I've worked on one of those. I'll post a video to that in the link below for those that might be curious in seeing the 770. I've also worked on some Tridents and stuff too, and I'll see if I can pull those back up and post links to those if y'all are interested. But anyways, what we got here, we got volume, we've got the filter controls called Traveler, and basically what this is, for you guys that don't know, it's almost like you got a low pass filter and high pass cutoff. So it's high pass cutoff, low pass cutoff, high pass cutoff, and you can combine them together and mix them in different ways. And that's actually the same kind of trick with the LMS20, where you got the high pass and low pass filters interacting. It really makes Korg stand out because it's not trying to be a Moog, it's not trying to be any other synth. It's actually, it's just got a sound of its own, and I love it for that reason. Then you got the attack and the percussion, which I've already kind of been over. Attack decay, also called singing, which always cracks me up. You got your footage range of your oscillator, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, just like a mini Moog. Then you got your wave shapes. So you got the triangular wave, which is now working correctly, square wave, sawtooth, chorus 1, chorus 2. Now what those are is those are just pulse width modulation settings, and on this particular synth you don't have any pulse width rate, so there is no LFO to control the rate of this pulse width or depth. So basically what it is, you got one that's got a different mixture than the other. It's just a greater amplitude of modulation, basically what it is. And then what you got down here is you got the expand, which what this is, and this actually didn't work when I got it in here, so I didn't even really know what it did and what is expand. So it's really confusing. But what that switch does, for you guys that don't know, is you flip it down and it actually puts a envelope contour on your filter. So it's actually just a fixed contour. It doesn't respond to this contour. It's got its own little contour circuit with fixed amounts. So the expand is the filter contour basically. Brightness actually controls the brightness of the filter, which is actually a very handy setting. You also see this setting on the 770 as well. Yeah, the 770 Korg. Sustain is kind of like the decay switch on a Mini-Moog. So when you have this down, it's going to sustain even when you let off a note. Very similar to the Mini-Moog left-hand control decay switch. Bender is actually a same thing. I think it might be the same envelope as the expand. It's just a fixed contour. It actually just gives your note a little bend, as you can hear. It's not glide. It's just a little effect of a bend when you first hit the note. That's also a feature on the 770, but the 770 has a control rate, so you can actually control how much of that you want. Repeat is actually just where you can repeat the note. So you put that on and you got a repeat speed. So as you can hear, we can actually make that note repeat while I hold it. We can speed it up. So a cool setting there. Vibrato, which is actually modulation, frequency modulation of the oscillator. We've got delay vibrato, which comes in later. Once again, a fixed delay amount. Then we got portamento, which has its own as you can hear. So that's your controls, and over here you've got your vibrato speed, you've got your depth, which does also work with the delay vibrato, but you just can't control that delay amount. And then you got a pitch control, which is basically just like a fine-tuned control. And so the only thing that's missing anything is these two switches here. It's missing the little caps. It was missing when I got them. But anyways, that's really what you get with this thing. It's real simple, but it's got a sound, and it just sounds really good. It's just got a classic. It's really kind of fat for one oscillator, and the pulse width modulation is great. So if we actually open this filter up, I'll just. And here's the waveform I fixed. So you can hear that's your triangular wave. But it's just got a really thick sound. I guess you really would have to hear it in person to really appreciate it, because it's just really thick. Like a 770, if any of you have played a 770, the only difference is you get two oscillators on the 770, which is really great because you get the phase interaction, which is really nice. But anyways, guys, let me put the camera on the tripod here, and I'll walk y'all through the sounds of it. Okay, so first I'm just going to show you a cool little demo sound here I got set up. And like I said, it's a one oscillator synth, but what Korg did that I love is they didn't try to be Moog, they didn't try to be anybody else. They kind of designed their own filter. And their filter really it's got its own sound. And the MS-20, the MS-10, the 770, all these Korgs or Univox instruments like this one here really is. They've just got a tone that's different because they wasn't trying to be Moog or they wasn't trying to copy anybody. It was kind of their own thing, and it really worked in their favor. But anyways, I'll show you just kind of how this thing sounds. So. Anyways, you can hear it's got a sound. Now that was using the pulse width 1 and 2. So here's 1, and here's 2. So you can hear one's got a deeper pulse width control. But let me open this filter back up. Turn the brightness off. So we'll go up an octave. We're in the 8 footage right now. I'll go through the waveform. So this is your triangular waveform that actually had problems. Then we got the square wave. Then we got the sawtooth. Then we got the pulse width, chorus 1. Then we got chorus 2. As you can hear. So that's your waveforms. We'll go back to square wave. I'll show you that your attack works and your decay works, or the percussion works. Now I did have to take the percussion slider apart. The actual wiper had got bent sideways, so it actually wasn't the carbon track, it was just the wiper got bent, so I straightened all that back out and re-lubed it real good, and it's working it's working really good. So I'm going to do a slow attack first. Fast attack. Then we got the percussion, which is the decay. So you can hear it's got a nice so that's your envelope. And then we've also got the brightness control, or the expansion. So we'll close this filter back up. So you can hear right now I've got the filter kind of closed back up. We'll go expand. When I put brightness on, that's when it really changed. So we'll go and put brightness on here. Now I'll put expand on. Without it. So that's your expansion control, or expand. We've also got bender, which is just, like I say, just a little pitch bend, fixed rate. And it's not glide, even though it sounds like portamento. It's actually just, it don't matter which note you hit. How that works. That's your bender. You've got your repeat. With a speed control. We've got the vibrato, which just has a speed and depth. So that's the vibrato. Then we got vibrato delay, which actually has a fixed delay amount. You can't control the delay input, but it'll just... What I like to do with this one, I actually like to use the triangular wave and go up an octave. Anyways, you can see how that works. We can go to a different waveform. But it still works with your speed control and depth. As you can hear. And we also got portamento too, so we're going to turn some portamento on. That's your portamento, and that's really the controls. That's really what you got here. It's very simple, like I say, but it's got a sound. And I just love the low end. When you... So here we are with the pulse width and delayed vibrato. And once again, the LFO for the pulse width is fixed as well. You don't have any control, the pulse width control. So that's kind of what you got, but it works really well. But you also got a little pitch bend. I did clean this as well, and you can hear how it works. So it's just a little simple offset control. But that's the Mini-Korg 700, and just a really cool little synth. And like I say, I think Mitch, I think he's going to be really happy with this thing now. Didn't take a whole lot. It was already in pretty good, decent shape, except for that triangular wave and the percussion slider and all the mismatched screws. So it was really just a good preventive maintenance in this case. And one thing about these synths that's kind of like ARP and Yamaha is they use potted modules. So your oscillator is actually in a potted module and just has the wave-shaped circuits and the needed stuff to make it actually be supported by CV and etc. Same thing with the filters. So you got the filter modules and VCA module. So it's very similar to like an ARP, Yamaha, as far as serviceability. So there's not too much you can do outside. You know, if those modules go bad, yeah, that could be a headache. But luckily, you know, this one here is in really good shape, so I don't think you'll have any problems with it. And the recap should help the lifespan as well. You know, that's one of the key things with these old Korgs, because these caps, they actually start leaking fluid. Luckily, I didn't see it on this one, but typically they start leaking dielectric fluid out of those capacitors, and it gets ugly. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. And Mitch, thanks again for letting me service this thing for you. And have more videos here very soon. Take care.